Hi everybody and welcome back. This is Todd Kuiper Berman Jr. coming at you with the last and final segment to the 2016 Fantasy Football Draft Lottery. That's right, I'm Todd Kuiper Berman Jr. This is going to be a two-part segment, everybody. We're talking about the champions, we're talking about the top 4 people in the league, and then we're talking about the actual draft lottery itself. I know you're on the edge of the seats. Hopefully you've been entertained. But again, let's just jump right into it. We are going to have a special guest star today. We'll introduce him later. He's going to be an absolute winner. He is a winner. But let's first off start with our 4th place team, and that's right, we're talking about Peanut Butter Crunch. We're talking about Chuck Swanson. We're talking about a guy that really, has never had a bad season. He's absolutely never had a bad season. I think that's the one thing that really appeals to fantasy owners, his fans, about Chuck. Never seen him in that bottom of the league, always seen him at the top of the league. Always drafts well. This is a guy that you look at his roster, only made 11 acquisitions, 3 trades. And that means he drafted well. Aaron Rodgers, always a good quarterback to have on your team, despite the Jordy Nelson not being able to play, torn ACL early in the year. Still a top 7 fantasy quarterback. Believed in Doug Martin. Things worked out well for him. He had Doug Baldwin, who exploded at the end of the season. You know that really helped him. Develop as a team in the rest of the year. I mean, when you got a name like Peanut Butter Crunch, the only thing you can do is crunch opponents. He's absolutely unbelievable. Great defense, great kicker. I'm talking Robbie Gould. I'm talking Panthers defense. Even a solid top 12 tight end in Jason Witten. The only real struggle he had was at the receiver position, maybe a little bit of running back depth, but he's going to address that early. He's going to address that often in the draft this year. You look at him, Chuck Swanson, again, Peanut Butter Crunch, averaged over 100 points a game. His opponent's points per game was 90.2. Does he get that lucky again this year? We don't know. We absolutely don't know. But again, it's that kind of time. Let's bring in our special guest host, Coach Hauser, nicknamed The Gambler. Coach, again, looking at Chuck's opponent's point per game last year, 1, how did he capitalize? And 2, do you think that luck can carry into next year? Hello, Todd. Thanks for having me on, Bite. Greatly appreciate it. First question, we'll talk about Chuck's team. Favorite Crunch? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How does he keep doing it? Next year, strong silent type. You absolutely nail it. Nothing better than a strong silent type, man. Everyone stating this girl, strong, silent, best day I ever had. Never coming back. Strong silent type. That's what Chuck does. That's what winners do. Keep their head down, win games. That's what Chuck does. That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you very much. And again, what do you think Chuck's strengths are in his owner? Again, as we mentioned earlier in the segment, this is a guy that doesn't really have a bad year. Doesn't really screw anything up. What do you think are his strengths? Strong, silent, drafts well. Nothing better than drafting a good squad. I remember I was drafting my son's championship, 7th grade championship team. I drafted little Tommy Sykes, phenomenal quarterback, led us to the league. Did not draft my son. It's just something you don't do. You don't play favorites when you're trying to win championships. Chuck doesn't play favorites, and that's the key to championship success right there. Like I said, Tommy Sykes, my son, was no-brainer, absolute no-brainer, and again, championships are what get you the girls, and that's what Chuck's trying to do. Back to life. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Coach Hauser. We will be seeing him again. But let's look at Chuck's results from last year. He had a good season. Again, a 9-4 regular season. My pardon. 8-5 regular season. My bad. So again, kind of an off and on. Had a little bit of a losing streak mid-year. Bounced back right around that time that Doug Baldwin started kicking in. And let's actually look at this. Week 10 through 13, he did not lose a game. That's how you start going into the playoffs, everybody. Wins the first round of the playoffs, gets himself in that top 4 bracket. It's exactly where you need to be. Give me a chance to make the money. That's all you can ask for in fantasy football is a chance. And Chuck gives himself a chance every year. Had a couple real struggles. Late in the season, got blown out in the semifinals, got blown out in the 3rd place game. But he's looking to bounce back. His team is one that fights through adversity. It's a team that really it thrives on adversity. That's what Chuck does. He's the strong, silent type. And I'm looking for a big season this year out of Chuck as well. So let's move on to our 3rd place team. That's right. I'm talking about Concerned Student 19. You know what? I'm not even going to mention him because that was a disgrace. Actually, whatever. But anyways, this is a guy who went into the season with a big win. Big win, lots of points, solid roster, made a decent amount of moves, probably average with the league, 42 waiver wire acquisitions, 7 trades. He was active on the trade wire. You don't often see over 5 trades in a season. That means this guy was constantly improving throughout the season, constantly looking to get better. You look at his roster, it's got a real NFC North flavor to it. You got Adrian Peterson, Brandon Marshall, former NFC North player, Randall Cobb. His bench was full of Bears. His bench was full of Packers. Really excited to see what he does. Again, this is a guy from Chicago, knows his NFC North players. Really excited to see what he does again for the year. Active owner, always towards the top. Much like the top 4, these are guys that you always see in the top 4. Maybe not our second place team, who we'll get to a little bit later, but these other 3 teams, and that's no offense to the second place team because they had a phenomenal year, but you look at all these other teams, these are guys that are constantly in the top of the league. These guys know what they're doing. They draft well. They make good moves. Smart players, smart fantasy players. Not somebody you want to see in your league, but as a fan of this team, as a fan of Concerned Student, you're excited for every new season. Speaking of being excited, let's bring in our special guest, Coach Hauser, the Gambler. How does Malin keep doing it? He's just, he's had a phenomenal fantasy season, went 8-5, made a decent amount of moves. How does he keep doing it? I feel like these questions aren't very in-depth here, Doc. Not worthy of a gambler here. But let me tell you right now how Malin keeps doing it. Perseverance, man. Let me tell you this time. Flip back to my little high school playing days. Persevere. This guy fractures his leg. Leg coming out of his leg. Unbelievable. Unbelievable perseverance. You know what that guy did? Gave the old thumbs up. Crowd cheered. Everybody went nuts. This kind of guy I want on my fantasy team. This kind of guy I want on my team. Guy that when his leg's sticking out of his leg, he just keeps going, That's how Malin keeps doing it, perseverance. Wonderful, wonderful stuff, Coach. So again, kind of talking about his roster, had a little bit of that NFC North flavor. Do you think that's a safe strategy going into 2016 and onward? Do you think that's a strategy you can continue with? NFC North strategy? Not a bad strategy. Not a bad strategy at all, Tom. I feel like you're dissing a lot. This isn't a gamble. Trust me, as somebody who's been to Vegas 7 times in the past 3 weeks. Not a gamble. Explosive offenses across the board. Of course, you got Aaron Rodgers, Stafford, gunslinger, Cutler, gunslinger, Teddy Bridgewater. All right, that's about what I have to say about him. But, this is not a bad strategy. Receiver depth, running back depth, quarterback depth. Probably one of the strongest divisions in all of NFL. Reminds me of this time, when I was playing 6th grade football, we had the strongest division. It was white team, purple team, red team. Granted, there was only 3 other teams, orange, black, and yellow. But ours was strongest. And, a lot of explosive players. I remember my buddy Jamal Marcus. Phenomenal. Didn't really end up doing much in his life. Definitely not the coach that I am. I tried to, but, life happens, All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for his time. Well, let's take a brief look at Malin's schedule here. Again, had a couple big winning streaks. Had one right at the start of the season. Started off 3-1. That's about all you can ask for. Ended up going 4-2. A little trade-off here, trade-off there. Ended with a nice 2 wins in weeks 11 and 12. That's what secured his playoff position. Lost in week 13, but that wasn't a big deal because he carried it over to a big win in week 1 of the playoffs. I'm talking about an absolute demolishing of Miller Time. Sorry, Sprunk. But, you don't like to see a 60-point victory in the playoffs. That's not what you like to see. Malin, a very solid team, playing the right players at the right time. Again, a smart, a savvy owner, somebody you don't want to see in your weekly fantasy matchups because no matter the projections, no matter what all the fantasy football sites are saying, Cameron Herman, this guy wins. And it's been proven time and time again. So, again, that's Concerned Student. Happy to have him in the league, and it means we're down to our final 2 teams. Of course, it was an intense championship this year. Really great team. We're looking at Team Cheesehead here. We're looking at the Cheese Machine. Again, not a real big supporter of anything from Wisconsin, but you got to admire this guy. He had a phenomenal team. He had 2 top players at the position. I'm talking Cam Newton. I'm talking Devontae Freeman. If you're locking up a top quarterback and a top running back in any league, you're going to be in that top 4. You're going to give you a chance to win the money. As we discussed earlier, the money is where you want to be. I mean, just a deep roster. Didn't have a very good flex position, but again, he had 6 top 10 players on his roster. He had the number 1 running back, the number 6 running back, the number 1 quarterback, the number 4 tight end. The receiver position was a little weak for him, but you know he's going to address that this season. That's something he's going to improve upon. And again, this is a guy that at one point scored, I believe, 232 points in 1 week. You look at him, how many points he averaged a game? That's right, he averaged 113, a new fantasy football record, over 110. If you can do that, usually you're winning championships. Unfortunately, struggled a little bit in the playoffs, but that happens. Again, Tom Hummel drafted a great team. Again, not a lot of trades, but he did a lot of waiver wire moves. That means he was paying attention to the up-and-comers. He likes the up-and-comers. He likes the young guys. He likes seeing the potential. He's a guy that bets on potential, and last year that bet paid off. And speaking of bets, we're bringing in the gambler, Coach Hauser. Coach, simply put, this was a dominant team from start to almost finish last year. How does he put that stamp on the end of the season and win that championship this year? How wins the championship this year? Well, I can tell you right now, he doesn't lose in the championship game. You know? You don't run any players ragged, Tom Thibodeau style. You know, I'm worried. I'm worried about him. You know? I got a little greedy early in the season. 200-point game. You know, who's he trying to impress, you know? Who's he trying to impress? And, you know, I was certainly impressed. So actually, I know exactly who he was trying to impress. You know? But again, kind of ran out of gas. Can't run out of gas. I got a good strength and conditioning coach who wants to call. Name's Coach Hauser. Whip those guys right into shape. Won a lot of championships down. Give me a call. You know. But you know, it's tough. It's tough being a champion, and I think Hummel learned that lesson last year. You know how tough it is. How tough it is. Couldn't agree more, Coach. So again, let's go back to that championship game because you know it's got to sting. It's got to hurt the players on his roster. You know it hurt his fans. You know it hurt him as an owner. Do you think that hurt and that pain, that sheer adversity is going to be a good or a bad thing for Tom Hummel this year? Championship loss, good or bad? Is losing ever good? It's not. It's not. One time, this guy in front of me, donut stand, cut in front of me, and you know, he got his donut first. I went up there, tried to order a rainbow sprinkle donut. Guess what? They were out. Guy in front of me, I let him in front. He ordered a rainbow sprinkle donut. He ordered a baker's dozen. Now I'm left for Coach Hauser. Worst day of the week right there is when I can't get my donuts, you know? Especially the rainbow sprinkles. Colorful. Sometimes makes your back end stuff, you know, have a little color. Real pleasant experience, you know, real pleasant experience. And, you know, I don't like losing. I don't think Hummel likes losing. But I think if he uses it the right way, it could pay off for him, you know? It could pay off. You know, I have 2 used car dealerships. Don't happen overnight, you know? And I think Hummel realized that. If he wants to be a used car salesman, successful, gambler, Coach Hauser style, he keeps going, you know? Words of Matthew McConaughey, you know? You just got to keep on living, man. All right, you know? So I love about them redheads. Anyways, back to the point. All right, well, thank you again, Coach. Always great having special guests in the show. Let's look at his results last year. Again, a guy that was fairly dominant throughout the regular season, 10-3. You don't see that very often in fantasy football. And when I'm talking about dominance, I'm talking about Tom Hummel's week 8 through 13. He did not lose a single game. And scratch what I said about the 232 points. It was only 201, but still, that's a significant amount of points in fantasy football. You don't see that very often. Actually, that's the first time I've ever seen that. As an announcer, as a commentator, as a player, it's absolutely unbelievable performance. But again, he goes on a phenomenal winning streak, week 8 through 13, locked it up, just kept on going, got that bye in the playoffs, had a big win in the second round of the playoffs, and just team didn't come through. I think probably a little bit of exhaustion throughout the year really hurt his team. He really pushed him to the limits. He's much like a Tom Thibodeau type, just pushing his team, always grinding, always going. He's doing that bump and grind. He's doing that R. Kelly. Maybe goes a little bit of remix to the ignition a little bit later this year, so he has a little gas left in the tank for that championship season. But you know he's got it in him. He's a phenomenal owner. And anyways, we'll see what happens this year. And with the Fox NFL song playing in the background, you know what that means. That means we're talking about our champion. That's talking about a guy that, well, he's the envy of the league right now, everybody. And that's Mike Rowan, a champion, a winner, a guy, always top of the league. No matter what he does, no matter who he plays, this guy wins. phenomenal roster. You know, you can always count on him to have a top-notch receiving core. His receivers are like his babies. He cradles them to sleep. He tucks them in at night. He feeds them their oatmeal. He feeds them whatever they need to succeed. And you got Antonio Brown. You got Demaryius Thomas, Jordan Reed, a top 2 tight end, a phenomenal defense, a phenomenal kicker. He always drafts kickers a little bit early. Everybody thinks he's busting it out a little bit early on his kickers, but he's never been proven wrong. And again, this is an active owner. He's getting passed around more than Lindsay Lohan at a Coke party. I mean, that's how active this person is. Makes 79 acquisitions on the waiver wire. Only 3 trades, though, so that means he likes the team he drafts. He just wants to do a little finagling here, a little finagling there. He's always up in the wee hours in the morning, probably drinking a lot of energy drinks. I know he's working for some kind of workout, big buff guy companies, so he's got a lot of endorphins flowing through him, a lot of energy. That lets him to stay up late, like a lot of waiver wire acquisitions. But again, a phenomenal team, an absolutely phenomenal team, a top 5 quarterback. His backup quarterback wasn't even that bad. It was Ben Roethlisberger, who was hurt for a while, but his other quarterback was Blake Bortles, who had an absolutely phenomenal fantasy season. And speaking of having phenomenal seasons, let's bring in our resident expert, Coach Hauser. Coach, simply put, guy's a champion. What do you have to say on that? Guy's a champ. I want him to be the general manager of my son's team next year. Give me a call, Coach Hauser, gambler. You know the number. Anyway, absolute winner. Guy never loses. Is he sneaky? Yeah. You pull off some good moves? Absolutely. Does he ruin some other team seasons? You betcha he does. But that's what it takes to be a champion. You gotta be cutthroat. You know? Game of Thrones, Red Wedding cut stuff. Sneak behind Caitlyn Stark. He cuts her throat. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Because he's a champion. That's what champions do. You know? They step on the little guy when they need to. You know? Just, back to the donut example. It's classic. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Coach. So you look at this guy's depth. It's a PPR league. He values that, but he also values kickers. Do you see the value, as much value in the kicker as Mike Rowan does? And if so, why? Well, thank you very much, Coach Hauser. Again, it's always a pleasure having you on. It's been an absolute delight. But again, let's look at his results from last year. Didn't lose a lot. Didn't lose a lot of games at all. A big-time winner, went through his schedule, had a couple big winning streaks, didn't really go on a big losing streak, is what you look to avoid in the regular season, is a big losing streak. Mike Rowan doesn't have it. This is a guy always perennial top 3 contender in fantasy. Like I said, the envy of most people in the leagues. He is almost a Pete, maybe a Ruxin from the league. That's probably not even a fair comparison, because he's better than that. He always wins. All he does is win, win, win. DJ Khaled and him hang out on a regular basis, and that's what they do. So I don't really want to keep you guys waiting any longer, because we've all been waiting for this for a very long time. And let's get on with the fantasy draft lottery. Let me grab my... I don't know where the ping pong ball machine went. Does anybody in the crew know? Looking for the draft lottery thing, Todd? Well, I have it. I snuck into your studio overnight, and here we are. The magical bingo ball machine. And I'm excited to finally announce the 2016 Fantasy Football Draft Lottery. I don't know why I took my hat off. I don't like actually people see my face. So just kind of forget that minute of the segment. But here we go, everybody. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Can I get a drum roll? Absolutely. You're welcome, Todd. Saved you a few bucks. Still got paid anyways, right? You know? Anyway. So, yeah. As you can see, I'm giving the balls a good Harlem Shuffle. It's a good Harlem Shuffle. Alright. So with the first pick in the 2016 Fantasy Football Draft Lottery, it's going to go to Chuck Swanson. Chuck Swanson, Peanut Butter Crunch. Congratulations, Chuck. 4th place finish last year. You know what to address. You know how to be a winner. Crunch away. Second pick in the draft. Guess who that's going to? It's Let's go on David Cole. Dumbass used a hashtag and his team name. There it is for proof. Cole. We're going to have a championship. Number 2 pick. Third pick goes to. Third pick's been chosen. That's Carl Kraus. Guy needed top 3 pick. Happy to see it. Happy to see it. Hopefully he capitalizes. And guys, middle initials doesn't start with a K, you know? You know? Yeah. Anyway, 4th pick. 4th pick's going to go to somebody. We got our 4th pick here, folks. This guy that needs it. This guy that really wants it. This guy that predicts the future. I bet he knew he was already going to get this pick. Max Goldman. Congratulations, Max. 4th pick. 5th pick here. 5th pick. Last year's champion. Top 5 pick. Having a great run here in fantasy. That's right. Mike Marone. Congratulations. Mike Marone, top 5 pick. 6th pick. Give a little shake. Still in top half of the draft. 6 picks, I'm going to go to this guy. Real jackass. Brett Collet. Real jackass. Thinks he's better than everybody for some reason. Nah. 7th pick. 7th pick's going to go to a guy that pays a lot of money for fantasy football. Not talking about multiple leagues, I'm talking about multiple websites. I'm talking about Cameron Herman. Congratulations, Cameron. 7th pick. 8th pick. Going to the guy with the least creative name in the league. That's right. Nate Sprung. Sorry to keep ripping on you, Nate, but congratulations. You got the 8th pick. 9th pick. 9th pick. Getting the bottom of the draft here. We're going to go with we'll go with Jordan Mallon. Jordan Mallon. Congratulations. Jordan Mallon. 9th pick in the draft. Congratulations. Down on the bottom 3. 10, 11, 12. 10th pick. Top 10 pick here. Still in the lottery. It's going to go to a guy who got 2nd place last year. That's right. Talking about Tom Hummel. Sorry for the poor handwriting, Tom. Congratulations, though. 10th pick. Got 2 balls left. Much like most men, 2 balls. 11th pick. He's going to go to a guy that probably needs it. Probably going to be trading up in the draft a little bit. A little bit. Had a team that could be described as a, it's kind of awkward that I just mentioned balls. This guy's team name was Bag of Dicks. That's right. Dan Ingram. Congratulations, Dan Ingram. 11th pick. And personally, my favorite draft slot, the 12th, it's going to go to this guy. Back-to-back picks. Real enviable spot to be in. That's right. I'm talking about the District of Columbia. I'm talking about Dylan Crane. Congratulations, Dylan Crane. Back-to-back picks. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you got a good laugh right here. Hope everybody's doing well. And can't wait for another fun fantasy season. Have a good one, guys.